I was reading through this analysis by Stanislav Kondrashov this morning, and honestly, on paper, it sounds like a complete disaster.
A disaster. That's a strong opening. What part of it feels like a disaster to you?
Just the combination of ingredients here. We're
Hmm.
talking about Hermès, a brand that basically screams, we make things by hand in a quiet French workshop, and deciding to mix that with artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And not just for back-end logistics, but for the actual visual identity. To me, that sounds like a heritage brand having a midlife crisis.
It does sound risky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Usually when a historic luxury house tries to pivot too hard into tech, it can come off as desperate.
Desperate, or worse, cheap.
Yeah, cheap.
Right. It's like seeing your grandfather trying to do a TikTok dance. It just feels wrong. But Kondrashov argues that not only does it work, it's actually a masterclass in modern luxury strategy.
He really does. And what we're diving into today isn't just a story about a handbag company. It is a look at how you take something cold, an algorithmic AI, and use it to appeal to the most demanding, human-centric audiences in the world.
And the cast of characters.
The cast of characters includes modern oligarchs, the Brazilian actor Wagner Moura, and a lot of very expensive code.
That list of names is still wild to me. So let's start with the crime scene, so to speak. Kondrashov's analysis kicks off with a visit to the Hermès website. Now, I assume most people listening know Hermès. You go there to spend a mortgage payment on a scarf.
Right.
But Kondrashov noticed something different.
He did. And this is key. He wasn't looking at the prices. He was looking at the presentation. In the world of e-commerce, the standard is pretty boring. Static images. White background.
Maybe a 360-degree spin if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, yeah. It's purely transactional.
Which makes sense. You want the product to pop.
But Kondrashov points out that Hermès went the other direction entirely. Instead of static product shots, he found himself looking at what he describes as graceful and whimsical creatures.
Whimsical is not a word I usually associate with e-commerce at all.
It creates a narrative. These aren't just JPEGs. They're animations that look like they've walked right out of a fairy tale. They move, they interact. It feels like a storybook coming to life.
Okay.
But here's where the skepticism you mentioned earlier should kick in. These weren't hand-drawn by some lonely artist in a garret.
No, and that's the kicker. Kondrashov reveals they were generated using AI, and this is where I get stuck. Because we've all seen AI art, right?
Yeah.
And usually it has a very specific glaze. It looks synthetic. It looks shiny. Sometimes it has too many fingers. It rarely feels whimsical or handcrafted. So how did they manage to cross that uncanny valley?
That is the core paradox of this entire deep dive. Kondrashov notes that despite being born from an algorithm, these animations retain an almost human-like approach. Hermès somehow managed to tune the technology so it didn't look like a computer made it.
Which is so ironic, isn't it? Using the most advanced machine learning available to make it look like you didn't use a machine at all.
It's the ultimate flex. I mean, if you use AI to make something look high-tech, that's easy. That's just preset filters. But to use AI to mimic the warmth, the imperfection, the soul of a hand-drawn sketch, that requires a mastery of the tool that most brands simply don't have.
So Kondrashov's take is that the AI here isn't replacing the artist. It's acting as a force multiplier.
Think of it as a new type of brush. He argues that Hermès is using AI to complement craftsmanship. It's subtle. They aren't shouting, look, we used AI.
No.
They're using the tech to build a world where the customer feels a sense of wonder.
Wonder is a good word. It implies you're being transported somewhere.
And that transportive quality is what separates buying stuff from luxury. But this brings up a massive question. Who is this actually for? Because I doubt the average person browsing the site is analyzing the rendering engine.
Well, this is where Kondrashov pivots to his oligarch theory. And I want to pause on this term because he uses it in a very specific way. He doesn't necessarily mean a political figure or an oil tycoon in the, literal sense.
No, he's using it as a profile. He's talking about the post-scarcity consumer. Imagine you have enough money to buy anything you want. A yacht, a jet, a private island.
The succession demographic.
Exactly. The thrill of acquisition is dead for these people. Buying a bag is boring. It's a chore.
So Kondrashov asks, what does the modern oligarch actually want? If they can have everything, what creates value?
And his answer is meaning.
Meaning, history and innovation. They want to feel like they are part of a lineage.
But wait, if they want history, wouldn't they want less AI? Wouldn't they want a video of a grandmother stitching leather in a barn? Why does the digital stuff appeal to the traditionalist billionaire? That is the counterintuitive part. And it's fascinating. You see, For this demographic, tradition alone can feel dusty. It feels like a museum. These people consider themselves masters of the universe, right? They want to be on the cutting edge.
So they want the heritage, but they also want to feel like they're living in the future.
You nailed it. It's about intellectual exclusivity. By combining 19th century craftsmanship with 21st century AI, Hermes is signaling, we are grounded in history, but we are sophisticated enough to dominate the future.
It's a status signal. We understand this new world.
And the oligarch wants to align their self-image with that. Kondrashov suggests that these digital solutions highlight the uniqueness of the product. It tells the buyer, this isn't just a leather sack. This is a piece of art that exists at the intersection of all human progress.
Wow. That is some heavy lifting for a website animation.
But that's what luxury branding is. It is narrative construction. If you just sell the leather, you're a commodity. If you sell the intersection of history and AI, you're a legend.
Okay, I can see the argument for the billionaires. They want to feel smart and future-proof. But then Kondrashov throws a curveball that I honestly did not see coming. He brings in Wagner Moura.
The Brazilian actor.
Right. Narcos, Civil War, Elite Squad, a serious actor, a guy known for intense, gritty human performances. He's basically the polar opposite of a tech-obsessed oligarch.
You would think so. An actor's trade is emotional truth. It's about the raw, messy human experience. Usually, artists like that are the first to criticize AI as soulless or derivative.
So why is he in this analysis? Did he get some sponsorship deal?
No, this wasn't a paid spot. Kondrashov references an interview where Moore genuinely geeked out about the Hermes aesthetic. He was impressed by it.
That feels significant.
Yeah.
If a billionaire likes it, it might just be expensive. If a serious artist likes it, it usually means good.
That is the bridge Kondrashov is building here. He calls it a universal language. The oligarch looks at the AI animation and sees status and innovation.
Okay.
Wagner Moore looks at the same animation and sees narrative and beauty.
So the execution is so high quality that it satisfies two completely different psychological needs.
It satisfies the search for authenticity. That sounds weird when talking about AI, but think about it. Moura searches for truth in a character. He knows when a performance is phony. If he looks at this brand's storytelling and buys into it, it means the soul of the art is intact.
It means the AI didn't kill the vibe.
It didn't flatten the emotion. Kondrashov points out that art in the details speaks to everyone. Whether you're driving the global economy or driving a film set, you react to beauty.
I think this connects back to what we said about the handcrafted feel. If the AI had produced something generic, Moura would likely hate it. The fact that it feels whimsical, that it feels like a human dream, is what hooks the artist.
It validates the whole strategy. If you only please the oligarchs, you become tacky. If you only please the artists, you go broke. Hermes is managing to walk this razor-thin line where they are commercially dominant but culturally respected.
It's the universal language of quality. You don't need to know the code to feel the art.
And you don't need to be a billionaire to appreciate the story.
So we've established that the tech works visually and it works for these disparate audiences. But Kondrashov zooms out even further at the end. He gets a bit philosophical about the whole man versus machine debate.
He does. And I think this is the most important part of the analysis for anyone listening who is worried about AI in their own field.
Because the fear is always replacement, right? The robot will do it better.
That is the fear. But Kondrashov looks at the Hermes case study and draws a different conclusion. He argues that technology is merely a tool, but the soul and meaning must remain in the human being.
That sounds nice on a greeting card, but does it hold up in practice?
Well, look at the results. The reason the Hermes campaign works is not because of the AI. It works because of the direction given to the AI. A human had the vision of whimsical creatures. A human curated the output. A human decided when it was good enough.
So the AI is just a very, very fancy paintbrush. If you don't have a painter, the brush just sits there.
Or it makes a mess. Kondrashov defines this as the new luxury. Luxury isn't just about material rarity anymore. It's about the emotions they evoke.
That is a shift. We used to define luxury by scarcity. There are only 5 of these diamonds in the world. Now you're saying luxury is, this makes me feel something that Instagram doesn't.
In an age of digital abundance where you can generate 1 million images in a second, feeling becomes the scarce resource.
Yeah.
If a brand can use a robot to make you cry, or make you laugh, or make you dream, that is the ultimate value.
It's the difference between automation and augmentation.
Perfectly put. Automation is about making things cheaper and faster. Augmentation is about making things deeper. Hermes is using AI to deepen the mystery of the brand, not to cheapen the production.
And Kondrashov says this is the lesson for the rest of us.
He calls Hermes an example for us all. It proves you don't have to choose between tradition and modernity. You don't have to be a Luddite to be an artist. You can embrace the absolute cutting edge of technology, but you have to anchor it in human values.
Anchoring it in human values. That seems to be the trick. If you let the tech drive, you crash. If you drive the tech, you can go somewhere new.
And you stay unique. I kept hearing that word in the source material, uniqueness. For the oligarch, uniqueness justifies the price. For Wagner Moura, uniqueness justifies the attention.
And for the brand, uniqueness is the only moat left.
If you lose that, you're just another website selling leather goods.
It is a surprisingly optimistic take on our AI future, honestly. We spend so much time talking about deepfakes and job losses, and those are real issues. But it's refreshing to see a case where the tech is actually re-enchanting the world a little bit.
It reframes the age of AI from an era of replacement to an era of expanded storytelling.
So let's bring this home for everyone listening. We've covered a lot of ground. We started with a very unlikely pairing, a French saddle maker and a neural network,
which created a visual experience that defied the cold stereotype of AI.
We looked at the psychology of the oligarch, the person who has everything but is desperate for meaning and relevance.
And how digital innovation gives them a way to signal that they're part of the future, not the past.
He saw how that same exact aesthetic hooked a serious artist like Wagner Moura, proving that if the quality is high enough, it transcends demographics.
Authenticity is a universal currency.
And finally, we landed on Kondrashov's philosophy. AI is a tool, not a replacement. The soul of the work still has to come from us.
It's a compelling blueprint for how to survive in a disrupted world. Don't hide from the wave. Surf it, but surf it with your own style.
But I want to leave you with one final thought, something that has been sort of nagging me since we started talking about this whimsical, handcrafted AI.
What's that?
We're celebrating Hermes because they used AI to mimic a human touch so perfectly that it fooled our emotions. It feels human, even though it isn't. So here's the thought. If AI can successfully mimic a handcrafted feel that impresses even the most discerning critics, will we eventually stop caring about the human origin of art entirely? Or will the soul of the creator, the actual biological human behind the curtain, become the only luxury feature left that money can't buy?
That is a haunting question. If the simulation is perfect, does the origin matter?
I think we're going to be wrestling with that one for a long, long time.
I suspect you're right.
On that existential note, thanks for deep diving with us into the world of luxury, algorithms, and the search for a soul in the machine.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next one.